2, the MVP debate, the hot topic that we've all been yearning to talk about this. I mean, Nikola Jokic now has overtaken SGA on NBA.com as the number one guy in the MVP rankings, MVP power rankings. Wow, wow, wow. Is this a case of it's about time, or are people wrongfully dismissing SGA as the MVP?
I have no questions, no doubts that it should be SGA. And people are going to come here and be like, you know what, like Jokic is crazy. Jokic has done all this. I completely agree. But now I think the time is right. And I would flip back on them like, what more could SGA do to warrant him getting this MVP? And I don't think there's anything else. What, you want him to average another 4 assists, another 3 rebounds a game, to average a triple-double. It's not going to happen, and it shouldn't have to happen for him to win MVP. The gap between OKC and the Nuggets in terms of standings is almost identical as the gap between the Nuggets and the 12th seed. The Thunder are 10.5 games ahead of the Nuggets. The Nuggets are only 11 games ahead of the 12th seeded Portland Trailblazers. When you talk about winning being important for MVP, I don't know how you could not take that as like the nail in the coffin. SGA also leading the NBA in scoring. Over 32 points a game, over 52% from the field as a guard.
What I would rebuttal with, though, is where is SGA in rebounds? Where is SGA in assists?
Oh, bro.
That's all I'm going to rebuttal with, bro. That's all I'm going to rebuttal with. Just tell me. He's not top 10. He's not top 10 in either. Jokic is top 5 in both. And top 5 in all 3. PRA.
I mean, that's completely fair. But what about every other Russell Westbrook season when he was near the top of the league in scoring, and he was near the top of the league in assists, or if not top of the league in assists, and then just outside the top 10 in rebounds as a guard? He was not even close to being in the NBA MVP conversation those seasons. And even one season, he wasn't even the top MVP. Probably a lot of those seasons, he wasn't even the top MVP candidate for his team.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know why you brought that one up, because I was like, oh, you know?
I mean, I'm just saying, like, I don't think the stats so much matter when SGA's stats are. You think every other MVP season where Jokic isn't a candidate, these are MVP stats. You look at that and you're like, you know, that's our guy. That's our guy completely. Jokic is that good that he's made this a conversation. But the fact that they're winning so many games and he's putting this up, that's the piece that nails it home for me. The gap is massive. And then you look at the other teams, like, okay, the Cavs are winning a similar amount of games, but no one is doing close to what SGA is doing. And you look at Jason Tatum, who's a guy who should have taken a leap into the NBA MVP conversation this year. And SGA is averaging more in almost all stats than Jason Tatum, and he's doing it in only 3 quarters. He's got a whole quarter up his sleeve. If you aggregate his stats through the first 3 quarters of the game and compare it to Jason Tatum's full 4-quarter stats, that's roughly what SGA is averaging. That is how good this man is.
He can be as good as he wants to be, but he's not the MVP. Not anymore, he's not, for me. Because I know people are going to come at me and say, oh, you had SGA as the MVP. Watch the video. What did I say? I said the reason SGA was MVP at that point in time. Again, my point was proven. The voters vote. When the voters vote, winning matters. And at that point in time, 2 months ago, where was Jokic? 7th seed, 8th seed, hovering around the play-in. Where is Jokic now? 2nd seed, 3rd seed. Like, they're hovering between there now.
Yeah.
It's a massive difference.
I agree with you, but it's all optics. It's you're like, oh, you know, they could be the 2nd seed, but the gap is massive. They are not getting within. They're not even getting within 10 games, most likely, of the 1st seed.
Brother,
that is wild.
Mike Malone literally said, when Jokic goes to the bench, I pray. If you took Jokic off that Denver Nuggets team, do you know who they're picking in the draft? Cooper Flagg, 1st pick. That's who they're picking, without a doubt. I don't see how, like, listen, I know if we just talk about straight value, Jokic is more valuable. However, when I said MVP, it's not about just value. It's also about where your team is, how your team is winning. So as much as Jokic's stats are crazy, I see the argument for both sides. However, back in 2 months ago, when the Nuggets were sinking down in the rankings, that's why I said Jokic was not MVP. I said winning matters. However, now that the Nuggets have brought that, they started to win because of Jokic. When you're averaging nearly a 30-point triple-double as the second seed or third seed, up there, yes, we'll give you MVP compared if you're doing that as a seventh or eighth seed. It's a big difference.